Pointer 78.
Hey, I'm Brent Ayler with Lucky Craft, and I want to talk about cold water jerk baits. Cold water jerk baits are going to be a number of things, whether it's middle of winter or pre-spawn. I would say pre-spawn is probably a little bit better, but the fish do a number of different things. They'll suspend, they will be deeper. For those two reasons, whether they're suspending or they're deeper, I like a deeper diving jerk bait. So basically these are a little bit longer billed, longer lipped jerk baits. I have the Stacy 90 and I have the Pointer 78 DD. And these are two colors right here, live threadfin shad. This is an old standby Ghost minnow. The reason why I chose these two colors is water clarity. For any of the clear water stuff, ultra clear water, I'm gonna use a Ghost minnow. For any bit of a stain, I'm gonna use a live threadfin. The reason for that is this is more of an opaque color. It's a little bit brighter. Both are excellent shad imitations, but again, clear water, slightly stained water, two stained water. You need to have at least two different colors. One for that ultra clear stuff, one for a little bit of stain. Now, the two things about the Stacy 90 and the Pointer 78 DD is one is silent. The Pointer 78 is silent. Doesn't have any rattles to it, very little rattle to it. The Stacy 90 is a fairly loud bait. This has a heavy rattle to it. Anytime the water is stained or adverse weather, meaning wind, rain, clouds, I will go with a Stacy 90. Now both of these baits will run a little bit deeper. I can get the Stacy 90 deeper than I can get the Pointer 78. But anytime the fish are deeper, anytime you need to call them from farther away, the Stacy 90 is gonna be better because of the sound, plus the depth as well. But a couple things to think about when using these two baits are speed of retrieve, water clarity, and choosing the right colors that we kind of talked about, and where to throw these baits. Every lake is different. You know, if you go to a Table Rock Lake, anything in the White River system, bluff ends are a big deal, bluffs themselves are a big deal. Staging areas, you could go to a Clearwater Reservoir, you would throw these baits on just a normal point, just a standard main lake point. Sometimes you can throw them in the backs of the pockets. If the creek channel goes in, the bait is piled up, you can throw them in these creek channels as well. But for the most part, you want to look for staging areas with these two baits. One thing that I've done too with these baits is because the depth is a little bit different between the two, if you're throwing the Pointer 78 and you're getting a lot of follows, but nothing actually getting the bait, if you go to a Stacy 90, a bait that gets a little bit deeper, a lot of times those fish don't have to travel as far and they're more likely to bite the bait. So get a bait that goes deeper if you're getting follows, and those follows might turn into actual strikes. Now typically when I throw jerk baits, I use a medium light action rod. In my case, I throw a Daiwa Tatula Elite. It's a 6'9" jerk bait rod. And I use a Tatula Elite reel. It's a really good distance casting reel. And to me, that's very important when throwing a Lucky Craft jerkbait, is having a very far cast. The longer the cast is, the more this bait is in the strike zone, your odds go up, and it gets deeper. The length of the cast will make the bait go deeper, and you just get a longer cast, your odds go up for getting a bite. Typically I run 10-pound Sunline fluorocarbon. A lot of times I take these trebles and I will actually change them out to G-Finesse treble that Gamakatsu makes. And I use the standard one, not the medium heavy one. And the reason for that is that the standard wire at G-Finesse is very lightweight wire. If I want the bait to sink more, then I'm gonna go with the medium heavy because that hook is a little bit heavier. So in colder water, the baits are gonna either suspend or sink. But if I put on a heavier hook, it'll make them sink a little bit faster. That does two things. One, I can get the bait deeper. You know, if I have a slower pause, the bait will go deeper because every time I pause, it'll sink a little bit more. Another way I'll do it is if I have it sink like that, sometimes the fish will bite it. If you're stapping it and having long pauses, that bait will sit there and it will fall really slow. So it's not moving horizontally, but it will be moving in the water. It will be falling down. A lot of times you have a shad kill in the middle of winter, you know, cold water. And those shad kills and the shad die-offs, when the water gets too cold, the shads just start to die. So you have a lot of shad that are starting to die, or they are on that verge of dying and they're literally sinking in the water. So it looks like one of those shad that have died off. So think about hook sizes and what it will do to the actual bait. The smaller, the lighter the hook, the less it's going to sink, the more it'll actually suspend or even slow float. Traditionally, I like either a straight suspend or a slow sink with jerk baits, mainly because I want it to get deeper or I want it to stay in the same spot when I pause it. That brings up another topic for cold water jerk baiting, is very, very long pauses. And I've seen it be very crucial in several scenarios. Clear Lake out in California, in November, December, January, the fish like a very, very long pause. The White River chain, Table Rock Lake, Beaver Lake, Bull Shoals Lake, they like a very long pause. So typically what I'll do is I'll make a long cast, I will twitch the bait several times to get it down into depth. Once I get it down to depth, I'll snap the bait, twitch it, and I will let it sit for anywhere between 15 and 30 seconds. That's a really long time to dead stick a jerk bait. I have to force myself to pause it for so long. I actually have to count. I force myself to count. I twitch the rod, I count 1,000, 2, 1,000, until I get to 15. I twitch it once or two more times, and I count to 15 or I count to 30. And the whole time I'm doing that, I'm watching my line. That bait will sit there, and if you're counting to 30, you might get to 20 and you'll see your line jump and take off. You might get to 10, and you might get to 30 and twitch it, and after that very first twitch, they might bite it immediately, or you just start counting again. So very long pauses in cold water. The warmer the water gets, a little bit faster, fewer pauses. Typically though, to me, the cadence is one snap, a quick pause, two snaps, quick pause, or if the fish are very active, it's just a constant snap, wind, snap, and just a constant cadence, just a constant going. And that bait the whole time under the water, it's starting all over the place, but very retrieve to see what the fish like. Overall, that's kind of the basic techniques that I use for cold water jerk baiting. Longer bill jerk baits, Stacy 90, Pointer 78, DD. Those are my two favorite cold water jerk baits. Really, every lake is different, every scenario is different. You have to constantly change up until you feel like you have found the right cadence, the right areas. The nice thing about a jerk bait is you can cover a lot of water with it. Once you find where those fish are, you can run around the lake and duplicate the same thing and try different colors as well. Those two jerk baits are the best ones on the market for the cold jerk bait water fishing.